Hello, I'm Karl Falken, and I'm running for Fremont County's Clerk of District Court. Thank you to Ginger Bennett, the Fremont County Republican Party, and County 10 for making this opportunity available. While I believe it's important to keep this message brief and to the point, I want to open with a special message to the other candidates in this election cycle. Some of you have been engaging in negative campaigning. On principle, I will not do that, especially in the primary phase. This is a primary election, and the contest is between members of the same party upholding the same principles and goals. Moreover, in a recording like this, our fellow Republicans are not here to speak for or defend themselves. Also, the end does not justify the means. Just because you win an election does not necessarily mean you were the best candidate, only that you received the most votes from all sources. A person who truly believes that they are the best candidate should also believe that they can win, and win on their own merits, and not have to drag another down to their level to win. As the scripture states, ultimately, all authority comes from God, and He delegates that to us to steward carefully. Our responsibility is to respect His representatives here and choose those we believe will best serve His purposes going forward. There will also come a day when we give full and impartial account for all we think, say, and do. With that said, I want to use the rest of my time to tell you about my qualifications for this office and my vision for the future of the District Court of Fremont County. A question that should be put to all candidates is, why are you running for office? I answer that with 3 reasons I'm running for office. First, I was asked to run for this specific office by people whose wisdom and judgment I highly respect. I was also generally encouraged by church leadership as a Christian to run for this office because the Judeo-Christian principles that this nation was founded on are broadly under attack. Second, we choose our leaders by election, not appointment. Therefore, the voters deserve a choice of candidates. The voters should not only have a choice, but good ones, with significant differences between the candidates. Third, all of my adult life, I have served my community. Over 40 years, I have volunteered over 4,000 hours of community service. Serving in this office is my way of doing that in a role where I can make the greatest differences given my personal qualifications and capabilities. In their collective wisdom, the Wyoming State Legislature has created only 2 statutory requirements to fill this office. The candidate must be currently registered elector or voter in this county, and they must win the primary election for their party and receive a majority of the votes in the general election. I believe I can meet these criteria. Next, my qualifications as a Republican are these. I first registered as a Republican in 1986 in the state of Georgia, and have not registered since then with any other party. I served as precinct committeeman in Texas in 2016, and have served in Wyoming on the Fremont County Central Committee from 2018 to present. At the same time, I've also served as an election judge to help assure election integrity. I first served as a delegate to a state convention in Texas in 2012, then again in 2014 and 2016. I served as a state delegate in Wyoming in 2018, 2020, and 2022. I had the great privilege of being elected as a delegate for Wyoming to the Republican National Convention in 2020, and I assigned the Fremont County Republican Party Platform Pledge. This commits me to adhering to the core principles of the county party platform in my official capacity. Now, the Clerk of District Court's primary responsibility is creating and maintaining court records. Other responsibilities are chiefly interacting with other agencies such as the U.S. Passport Office and law enforcement agencies. They also have a staff that needs to be trained and supervised. While I do not have prior experience as a court clerk, I have spent over 35 years in manufacturing as a senior mechanical engineer. Why is that relevant? Well, this is a very documentation-intensive vocation with stringent requirements to meet. These include extensive professional, regulatory, and statutory criteria. Furthermore, as distinct from government, manufacturing is a highly competitive environment where professionalism, efficiency, quality, reliability, and above all, customer service is essential. I have worked successfully in both commercial and military roles, interfacing with multiple organizations, agencies, and vendors. I've even volunteered for over a decade as a public affairs officer, which gives me valuable skills and experience in dealing with both the general public and officials at multiple levels. Keeping confidential records is a critical part of this role. As a military police officer, I have been trained in physical security. When working on sensitive government projects, I've also received good experience in electronic security practices. As a supervisor of up to 30 employees, I've been responsible for hiring, training, evaluating, mentoring, and occasionally firing those under my authority. Finally, an important but often overlooked function of the district court is to maintain historically important records and make them available for researchers. One of my beloved hobbies is living history, and I am the family archivist. Regularly, I participate in events which preserve and promote history to the general public. I also maintain and add to thousands of pages of my family historical records, and am therefore passionate about making historical records available to those who are interested in preserving these for future generations. My vision for the district court. 5 years ago, I moved to Wyoming from an area around Houston, Texas. There, the clerk of district court, Marilyn Burgess, has made the Harris County District Court a model for others nationwide. That is only one of several district courts that I want to use as an example, especially those here in other Wyoming counties, and I want to draw on to make the district court the best in our state. My previous experience in other district courts has been memorable for the confusion, fear, long delays, and high expense involved. I am also well aware that in district court, lives are regularly impacted and change for the better or for the worse, sometimes irrevocably. Therefore, it is critical that as far as humanly possible in this fallen world, by God's grace, we get that right every time. So within statutory limits, I want to bring a customer service orientation to the district court that helps those using the court avoid the unnecessary stress, costs, and potential pitfalls common to users of this system. I want this both for the general public and for legal professionals who serve them. This goes for the staff as well. In particular, the courts in America have traditionally been characterized by adversarial roles where the client with the best case or attorney prevails. I believe there's something fundamentally wrong with this spirit. I am a problem solver by profession, and my goal, as far as my role can influence it, is to try to identify the root causes of the problems between people and help all parties to reach the best solution for all involved. Justice is not an abstract thing to me, but an essential process that balances the spirit of the law with the compassion for people and realistic understanding of their means and needs. The goal should be to be firm and just, but also reasonable and fair. Lastly, the district court is funded by the taxpayer and from fees and fines collected by the court. Now, you and I are both taxpayers and customers of the court system. We work hard for our money, and each of us gets only 24 hours in a day. There are other things I'm certain you want to spend your time and money on. In the marketplace, we expect to be treated with kindness and respect. We also expect the products and services we purchase to be reliable and of the best quality we are willing to pay for. Why should government be different? Therefore, my goal is to provide good customer service to reduce cost and cycle time, increase ease of use, access of information, and overall quality and reliability. These are things I've done repeatedly in my career to date. Going to court is something we ordinarily hope to avoid, but few, if any of us, control our circumstances. If you did have to use the services of Fremont County District Court, what kind of court would you want to deal with? If you share my vision, I ask you to vote for Karl Falken on August 16th. My final message is for those of you who are registered to vote in the upcoming primary election. Nationwide, it has been the trend that about 2/3 of eligible voters do not vote. This is especially true of the primary elections, even though they are the most critical. Now is when you have the most and best choices, not later. Your vote will have more weight in the primary election than it will in the general election. To win an election, a candidate only needs one more vote than their opponent, so every vote counts. However, a vote is only really a good vote if it's an informed vote. So educate yourselves on the candidates. We live in the information age, so there's plenty of information available if you will search for it. If you really want to make a difference, bring your family, neighbors, and friends. Voting is a civic duty. I ask you to vote responsibly. Yet voting is not really enough. Elections can be stolen. If you don't vote and don't protect election integrity, do not complain about the results. I encourage you, therefore, to serve as election judges, clerks, and poll watchers. In either case, you will have to live with the winning candidate for the next 4 years. Thank you for your time and attention.